very red, white, and blue today. Lindsey, what is on your lens?
We are talking a lot about the economy. So when we talk about the economy, Donald Trump likes to paint himself as some sort of financial savior. You know, the guy who knows how to make America rich again. But if you take a closer look, it's a different story. And it's not just the political opponents that are saying this, it's the people who actually run America's biggest companies. So according to a recent survey from the Yale School of Management shared with Axios, quote, in private, the leaders of some of the country's best known companies say that a number of White House policies have been bad for their businesses and possibly illegal. Think about that. CEOs, the ones who usually play nice with Republicans, are whispering about how these policies are actually hurting them. And yet the Axios article says, quote, in public, business leaders are keeping relatively quiet, fearing retribution from President Trump. Translation, the so-called pro-business president has corporate America too scared to say what they actually think. So let's talk about why. Tariffs, or as many like to call it, the Trump turbulence tax. Tariffs were sold as a way to protect American jobs, but in practice, they've been erratic, confusing, and even downright costly. One day the deadline shifts, the next day the rules change, and businesses are left scrambling. And it's not just annoying, it's destabilizing. 71% of CEOs surveyed in this Yale study said that tariffs were directly harmful to their businesses. And 74% agreed with the courts that Trump's tariffs were flat out illegal as executed. Then there's the Federal Reserve. 8 out of 10 executives said Trump was not acting in the country's best interest by pressuring Fed Chair Jerome Powell to slash the rates. On health care, 76% of them think the policies under Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are putting the public health at risk. And let's not forget the new $100,000 fee slapped on H-1B visas, making it harder for tech companies to even hire global talent. So what does this all add up to? Well, businesses are delaying investments, cutting back on hiring, and watching the costs just climb and climb and climb. Consumers, meaning us, are paying more at the register, and the very foundation of our economy, confidence in the rule of law, is being chipped away. Immigration policy is a whole other piece of this puzzle. 8 months into Trump's term, worksite raids have ramped up and the ripple effects hit hard. In California, workforce participation dropped 3.1% in a single month. Among non-citizens, it plunged to 7.2%. That's not protecting jobs, that's actually shrinking our labor force. Farms, construction sites, and food plants felt it first. The rest of us felt it later at the grocery store and in the housing market. And while this is all happening, the federal deficit has ballooned, thanks to large part in Trump's 2017 tax cut paired with new spending. You'll remember that big, beautiful bill. And it's kind of ironic. The man who branded himself as a businessman left the country with a balance sheet that would make any CFO cringe. Now, Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, the Yale professor that organized this gathering of CEOs, summed it up best, saying, quote, they're all afraid of being marginalized by the White House. So that's the bottom line. Trump's economic playbook isn't some genius level strategy. It's just chaos disguised as policy. And sure, it might sound tough on the campaign trail, but the data tells the truth. Businesses are hurting, workers are vulnerable, and our long-term stability is at risk. And here's the kicker. If you still think Trump is the guy who can, quote, save the economy, just remember, most CEOs won't even say that out loud. It's not because they believe it, it's because they're too afraid to contradict him. And to me, that says more than enough.
Yeah, look, I think the Trump administration, I broadly agree with you. I think they should pay attention to how the business community feels about the economic policies. The Republican Party has long claimed to be the party of business, and that, in fact, the business of America is business. And we want a favorable business climate because we believe greater economic prosperity. When businesses are getting wealthy, that is good for the American people. That means goods and services are available to people, and the standard of living can improve, and jobs are available, and all of that. And a contingent of the Trump base, MAGA, really cares about fairness of labor policies and competition from immigration and outsourcing, all things that, yes, are important, but when dealt with in the way this aspect of MAGA and this aspect of the left wants dealt with, things get more expensive. Businesses make less money. The price of goods goes up. So to do tariffs, to do some of the immigration restrictions, I think is going to turn off the business community. And now the business community is not going to go running into the arms of Democrats as long as they still have Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and Zohran Mamdani and AOC as the thought leaders of their party. These are people who hate business, who hate CEOs, who hate profits.
They just want workers to be treated fairly, things like that.
No, MAGA wants workers to be treated fairly.
No, the MAGA is asking to bankrupt companies in order to make sure that we have no migrant laborers. And then we're seeing things like housing, labor shortage.
Elizabeth Warren wants to bankrupt companies for different reasons.
Fine, so there's two parts, extremes of the puzzle. Getting rid of migrant labor.
Join the Libertarian Party, people.
He's recruiting. I just think, there's no solid information. There's a lot of chaos, I think, is the biggest overarching issue. Even as recent as yesterday, we talked about these H-1B visas. One person on Trump's team saying, oh, it's going to be annually. Another person saying, no, this is a one-time fee. Like, companies don't even know how to move or speak out loud because they aggregated at Yale all these different CEOs that won't say out loud that they think this is chaos. So you have Netflix CEO, oh, this is a great time. But then other people quietly saying this is a disaster. How do you go from less than $2,000 to $100,000, whether annually or one time? It seems extreme, and it's not going to have incentive to probably bring in more workers. It's probably just going to pile more work on one American person that's already working there and then make us not competitive in a global space. And that's just one instance. I mean, over the last few weeks,
they can contract out. They'll just hire the people, keep them in India and China.
Just keep them there and make their economy boost. And then as well, there's companies here that are in the agricultural space. Like I think we talked about John Deere.
They'll move to London and work remotely from there.
Anywhere, pretty much. And that's why I'm just like, why is MAGA not calling out the fact that the economic policy so far is not at all a mirror of anything that he said on the campaign trail? I mean, the tariffs, he said they would start working immediately. Business leaders are saying that it's a disaster. Immigration, he said that he would go after criminals and violent offenders. He's going after everybody. People can't even work. And the California, you saw migrant labor has dropped by a significant percentage.
I think MAGA's thinking is they can do these policies, which the base wants, which are popular with blue-collar labor union type people who have been traditionally Democratic voters, who are trying to bring into the Republican fold. They can do those policies, even if they're bad for the economy and they're bad for businesses. They bring in new voters. But the policies aren't bad enough that they lose the Republican CEO because who are they going to vote for? They're going to vote for Democrats. I'm explaining to you why they're never going to vote for Democrats. So they're going to keep, those people are going to be upset about it, and I'm upset about it. I agree with them. I am ideologically sympathetic to that group, but they're not in danger of losing their votes because there's no rival party competing for their vote. Elon Musk didn't start the America Party.
It may
so
be
they're staying,
a libertarian
so it's
move
be
and shift because I even saw a Fox News poll, which I had written down that 52% of voters believe the president is making the economy worse. And that's a recent Fox News poll that came out this week. So, when you're talking about...
It's not rocket science. Just cut regulation, cut taxes, leave businesses alone, leave tech companies alone, don't harass them if you're the government, and, we'll live in a utopia. But
I think the biggest deal is that there's an opportunity and a window open for someone to say something that makes sense. Like the way that President Trump is handling the economy, and even looking at this Fox News poll citing that half of the country thinks that he's handling it poorly, it's an opportunity for Democrats to have come up with a plan for the last 8 months. It's unfortunate, as I've repeated multiple times, that they haven't. But this is not like Republicans midterms to win. This is Democrats to lose once again. Like the stage is open on the economy when people care most about voting for their wallets. Like we saw in the last election.
It's a ways off, but it's looking like a mixed result at best.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Anything can happen.
I just can't. And the biggest news we're talking about is Newsom, which his tactics are hilarious to me, but still not speaking to the economy. And Kamala Harris coming at everybody who she ever was associated with last year. So they have to come up with some more. I need to hear some more in the next few weeks. As the United Nations meets in New York, more and more countries are formally recognizing the state of Palestine. After the break, how people are reacting to the UK's controversial decision.